When Lin Chen's skills can't be released, they are basically flat A. She held the swimming ring in her hand and smashed it on the ground one by one. One swimming ring for one player child. It's so cool. Of course, there are also a few excellent ones who threw cherry bombs at Lin Chen. But they soon discovered that although the cherry bomb could cause damage to Lin Chen at once, but almost in the next second, a green number with blood appeared on the boss's body. There is a wet nurse. By the way, the previous 5 bosses were all single. Why did you get to the 6th boss and there were 2 of them all at once? Some people were confused and began to ask on the forum. However, the result after asking made everyone depressed. The other cities have a boss every 10 levels, and each time it's a boss by boss. There is only the town of Odin, where there are 2 bosses in one go, and one of them is a super big milk mother. There are a few people who can identify techniques, and they found out that Lolita little Lori named Lola turned out to be a level 120 big milk mother. A level 120 boss will actually appear at level 60. Tease me? Time. There was a steady stream of complaints in the forum, but it didn't delay Lin Chen from killing the player at all. The duckling swims in the ring and throws it out. Bang, die. The duckling's swim rings back again. Bang and die. As for the corn cannon, in terms of the movement speed and aiming level of that thing, so far it has not been able to beat Lin Chen, who is particularly in a bad position. What's more, she also has a control skill, and from time to time she puts it down, and people turn on their backs. The only thing that made Lin Chen more depressed was that there were more low-level players who came to this town, so most of the attributes she obtained were of this type. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing the bright moon flower fragrance and gaining intelligence +1. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing heaven and earth, gaining intelligence +0.5. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing the wind and the ass and getting 0.5 stamina. Why is this still a decimal point? There are bits and pieces. It's really depressing. Of course, some people don't even have the ability to provide attributes. He could only provide Lin Chen with a little gold or equipment or something like that. Most players have white or green equipment. Occasionally there are a few blue ones. I didn't see the purple one until then. It is estimated that only the elite players in the guild have it. Besides, those people are like monkeys, hiding far away. However, the player's equipment has nothing to do with Lin Chen. After all, the player's equipment Lin Chen couldn't use it at all. It's such a cool event, especially for NPCs. But for the players, there are only 2 words. Complaints poured in like snowflakes on the forum. The perverted boss of Odin Town, there is a problem with the siege battle mechanism. Lao Tzu has served the game company and said that he has researched the world's unique intelligent brain, and there are bugs every day. It is said that our flower country has gathered more than 1,700 scientists to study the brain, and the result is like this. He smiled. Ask for compensation, what? At first, everyone was talking about bugs in Odin. Later, the style of painting gradually distorted to the suspicion of the brain. When the game Ragnarok was released, it was advertised that its super brain was successfully made under the joint research of more than 1,700 scientists in the flower country. Has its own independent thinking consciousness, and even the NPCs in the game have their own independent personalities, and the game does not need manual intervention at all, and the brain will maintain it. The most mysterious thing is that with the acquiescence of the official, some of the things in the game can even be brought to reality to cope with the situation of the revival of the aura of reality. However, only a few people know about this most mysterious point, and later the official issued an announcement, which can be regarded as a confirmation of this, but it did not specifically say anything about the revival of the actual aura. In addition, later, a few people actually obtained equipment from the game to the real world, and this matter was re-emphasized. However, at this time, Yang Xiaowei, the president of Ragnarok, is ahead and too big, because in the office, there was a person standing who made him dare not come out. Although the man didn't say anything, a pair of wise eyes stared at Yang Xiaowei tightly, and after a long time, he smiled lightly. Xiaowei, I remember that you are a very smart child. What is going on in Odin Town? This, big guy. I'm only responsible for the operation. The maintenance of the brain was later managed by Dr. Wang Yu, and the plan to make the brain was also proposed by him. But you also know that this brain is now running on its own. In fact, we can't interfere too much. After all, young Shui grew up in the same big Dean as the big guy in front of him since he was a child, and he began to be poor when he said it was smooth. But the bodyguard standing next to the big guy coughed. He was taken aback and quickly said, "We've all checked. It's not a bug. Not to mention that this kind of activity can train players and make them stronger to deal with the revival of aura in the real world, isn't it?" "I hope so." The man nodded and spoke softly. Yang Xiaowei scolded this unreliable nemesis Wang Yu in his heart. "Who told you to give all the authority to the brain? Now it's okay, right? How is this maintained? The people in the game company are burned. At best, I heard that they were a game company. At best, I don't know that they are in charge of supervision." Yang Xiaowei hurriedly went to the -18th floor of the company. The company dug 18 floors underneath, and each layer was filled with the most powerful scientists in Huagua, who spent their days studying data and all kinds of things that Yang Shui couldn't understand at all. And the entire 18 floors are connected, and there is a very large space in the middle. This contains the legend of Ragnarok, which was researched by 1,700 scientists. From afar, it looks like a giant heart. When Yang Xiaowei found Wang Yu, the sad programmer was lying on the 18th floor recording data, scratching his ears and cheeks. The entire 18th floor was given to Wang Yu, because this product is the head of 1,700 scientists and the planner of G-Brain. The floor was a mess of paper, with lines and data drawn on it. Anyway, Yang Xiaowei can't understand it. "Did you find a bug?" asked Yang Xiaowei as soon as he entered the door. Wang Yu's eyes were red as if he was something, and when he saw Yang Xiaowei come in, his eyes were like hungry wolves, staring at Yang Xiaowei. "Bug? I think you're kidding me now. This is a perfect work of art. Where is the bug?" "But there's something wrong in the game." Yang Xiaowei looked depressed. "The whole game is run by the brain. How can such a cross-era masterpiece have bugs? And you think about it, the attributes in the game can be brought to the real world. Do you know how much energy I spent on this?" Wang Yu was excited when he mentioned this. "So have you maintained it?" Yang Xiaowei couldn't understand the nonsense. "I didn't find the bug. Everything is normal. Odin Town was originally a very important town in the expansion. I passed these expansions. Game progress and everything have been passed to the brain. How to arrange it is a matter of the brain. You have the ability to quarrel with her." Wang Yu rolled his eyes. Yang Xiaowei gritted his teeth. It's not like he hasn't spoken to G-Brain. This intelligent brain should be the greatest invention of this era, and it is remarkable that artificial intelligence can be developed to this extent. But it's just too annoying to speak. Liver pain of gas. Is the game attribute completely open up to reality? Yang Xiaowei immediately took a step back. Wang Yu looked at him like a fool. "Why are you asking me about this? What do you think about it? Fully open? The people will definitely not be able to stand it, depending on how the brain deals with it. Don't forget that 30% of this brain comes from another time and space. If it weren't for the problem over there and docking with us, it wouldn't lead to our aura recovery." Okay, don't tell me that. Yang Xiaowei's head was big. "You just need to stabilize the operation of the game. These things will be announced slowly, and I don't know if they can stand it." "I can't stand the fact that the world is like this. Just take care of yourself." Wang Yu rolled his eyes angrily. "I'll be on the number if there's nothing to do. I still want to catch something." The battle is fierce on the small side of Odin. Since the appearance of Lin Shen at level 60 and Lola at level 120, players really don't have a good life. While waving her little hands, Lala lazily added blood to everyone and looked at Lin Shen with a smile. "How about it? It's really cool." Lin Shen nodded. "I'm telling you, when you go back, these points can be exchanged for money. Enjoy it." Lola smiled. "You'll have to treat me to dinner then." Lin Shen was a little confused. Isn't it true that points can only be exchanged for rewards? Gold coins are just tokens. Laura was speechless. Tokens can only be used to buy things in the game. "I mean, after we go back, you have to treat me to dinner. I live at 347 Rift Zone." "Don't forget." "What the hell? Where's the Rift Zone? Which country?" Lin Shen still looked confused. Laura was a little impatient. "Aren't you from the Orton Empire?" "I'm from the small town of Odin." Lin Shen didn't quite understand what the NPC in front of him was talking about. In the game Ragnarok, there doesn't seem to be any Orton Empire. Needless to say, reality. Nor did not. Odin Town is the location in the game, and I'm still in Blue Dragon City. I mean, go back to the real world. You exchange the gold for money. Go back and invite me to dinner. We have a good cooperation. Don't you want to? Said Lola with a depressed face. Lin Shen stabilized the other party first. This Lola should be an NPC. Right. Could it be that, like her, she also crossed into an NPC? But where is the Orton Empire? I've never heard of it. I'm also in the Orton Empire. Lin Shen showed a shy smile on his face. I'll invite you to dinner when I turn around. And where do you live? Lola looked excited. I'm serious. I'm going to look for you. Number 888. Lin Shen casually made up an address. Split Void Zone. Okay. I didn't expect us to be so fateful. You are still in the same district as me. Laura is excited. Lin Shen only felt weird, took Lola's words to heart, and continued to torture the player. The players here are dying miserably. And Lin Shen also noticed that Lola can get equipment on the player's body, which is simply a scraping Huang Shuren. I really don't let it go at all. With Lola's help, the torture lasted an hour. This was still under the condition that Lin Shen controlled other NPCs not to take the initiative to attack the city gate. In the end, the players gave up their resistance, and a group of mobs rushed forward without brains, eventually smashing the blue crystal of Odin. The NPC's side wins. However, the corresponding player will be penalized. Lin Shen is a well-deserved number one. After all, no NPC has lasted as long as her. As for Lola, she basically has no attack skills, her hands are short, and she can't hit people even if she attacks ordinarily, mainly because she has blood and looting equipment. Since Lin Shen and Lola are in a state of cooperation, Lola also won the second place. When he quit the event, Lin Shen heard such a prompt. Ding dong, congratulations to NPC Lin Shen for winning the first place in Odin Town, and the first place in the NPC reward for the whole server, and the reward has been distributed. 2 large gift packages appeared in front of Lin Shen. She didn't say a word and took it all. The city reward is a set of purple equipment, 13 pieces, which can be customized, plus 50,000 gold coins. The full server reward is a set of 13 pieces of golden equipment that can also be customized, 500,000 gold coins, a supreme authority, and a city founding order. It is worth mentioning that this supreme authority is random, and Lin Shen cannot conduct a lottery, so as soon as the supreme authority appears, what kind of supreme authority it is has already been stipulated. Supreme privilege. It can help players change classes to any class. To be honest, Lin Shen had already obtained this permission before. It's just that later, it was said that it was complained by the player and it was withdrawn. Lin Shen's face was unhappy, and he didn't care about the golden equipment or purple equipment that could be customized. So he simply looked for G-Brain. What's the matter? This supreme authority can't send me a duplicate, right? Ding dong. I'm sorry, host. You didn't have this permission before. Lin Shen was stunned by what G-Brain said. Not really. Isn't this being taken back? But it was issued again. Why are you so depressed? It feels like the same thing has been taken twice, and the thief is unhappy. Ding dong. The reward is random. If the host really doesn't like it, you can use the props in the GM Mall to replace the supreme authority. Props? Lin Shen opened the GM Mall. It's really going to make money. A broken prop costs 5 million gold coins. Where is she going? However, Lin Shen suddenly remembered about Lola, so he asked G-Brain, find me where the Orton Empire is? Ding dong. The Orton Empire is not in the game, in reality. Fart. Lin Shen was quite angry. Why didn't I know that there was the Orton Empire in my reality? Ding dong. It's not your world. It's another world. How many meanings? Lin Shen was inexplicable. However, what she was very curious about was that G-Brain didn't seem to be surprised that Lin Shen was stuck in from the real world. Wrong. How the hell did she get in? There is no hint on the brain side. Lin Shen simply found out the background system information of Ragnarok. This item is available in the GM store for 5 gold. Lin Shen saw it before, although it was very strange why there was such a thing in the GM Mall, but thinking about the attributes of this game, it is estimated that it is used to pit money. So I didn't pay much attention to it before. But after meeting Lola, she was curious. Taking out the material, a very heavy one, Lin Shen was about to read it, and Hong Lian walked over excitedly. Boss, how many rewards have you got? I have earned a lot of gold coins this time. I want to take a day off, but I will leave a puppet here. Lin Shen nodded, but I felt that something was wrong. She raised her head, looked at Red Lotus and asked, where are you going to take a day off? When I go back to my own home, I can't go to work every day. Red Lotus smiled. Back to reality? Lin Shen asked tentatively. If Red Lotus was just an ordinary NPC, she naturally couldn't understand what Lin Shen was saying. Unexpectedly, Hong Lian lowered her voice. Boss, you can't say this thing so loudly. It's not good for the players to hear it. After all, they don't know anything yet. Anyway, I'll go back first, and my brother will look for me. After Hong Lian finished speaking, her body froze, as if she was playing a game. But soon, the puppet took over the body, and Hong Lian looked no different from usual, and even showed a smile at Lin Shen. Boss, let me report to you on your performance. Lin Shen. She entered her room and quickly opened the profile. She had also studied the background information of the game when she played this game before, so she didn't pay much attention to the game information about Ragnarok sold in the GM store. This thing must be a money-stricken. But now, when she opened the book, she was stunned. It took less than half an hour for her to finally finish it. The look in his eyes is strange. As for why she got stuck in the game, she had some guesses of her own. The background information of the game sold in the GM store says a very strange thing. According to the background information of the game here, the game Ragnarok is a bridge. One builds a bridge between the real world and the other world, which is temporarily called a bridge between time and space. The real world is the world that Lin Shen lives in. Another time and space is a world dominated by magic and sword energy. As for why these two completely disparate worlds are connected, no one knows. But at the junction of these two worlds, there were many holes, causing the aura in the different time and space to enter the world where Lin Shen lived. The revival of aura in the real world has led to many strange things. There are also some problems on the side of the different time and space because of the leakage of aura, and there are many monsters from the other time and space that have entered the real world. There are also many very powerful people in the real world who fill the holes left by the two worlds. But these holes will appear in a steady stream, and one of them is super large. Whether it is a person from another time and space, or a person in the real world, there is no way to seal it. Later, people from another time and space contacted people in the real world, and the two groups jointly developed the brain and plugged the hole. At the same time, people in different time and space have opened up a new world, the game world, with the brain as the center. This game world is a third-party world and is virtual. However, whether it is a person in a different time or a person in the real world, you can obtain attributes in the game world and bring them to your own real world. Therefore, the Laura that Lin Shen had contacted before, as well as the real world that Hong Lian in her shop said she was going back to, were actually different time and space. Read it all. Lin Shen's expression was strange. In fact, the description of this Ragnarok game is completely different from what Lin Shen knew. Now Lin Shen even suspected that he was not stuck in the game, but in the game of the parallel world. Or maybe it's because, in the real world, she's just a small character. What kind of high-end thing like aura revival? She can't touch it at all. So the last time I was reported, was it reported by a player or by a fellow NPC in a different time and space? Lin Shen was a little puzzled. Ding dong. It's because you give players convenience, so that most players can pay money to become a hidden profession, destroying the balance of the two worlds. On the one hand, the player's report plus the NPC's report, so you took this special permission. With the explanation of the wise brain, Lin Shen understood a lot. But at the same time, she had another problem. In other words, I can also go back to the real world? Lin Shen asked rhetorically. Ding dong, yes. You can exit the game world by clicking I want to quit in the bottom right corner. G-Brain suddenly said, what the hell am I? The mentality collapsed. Ah? Lao Tzu accepts that he is a lorry. Now someone told me I could go back. Can you go back? Go back? Why didn't you say it earlier? Gone. Ah, the 40-meter-old bird that Lao Tzu walked and sat on his waist is coming back. Excitement. Click on the bottom right corner. I want to quit. A dialog box appeared in front of Lin Shen. Do you want to quit now? After exiting, the game will automatically use your puppet NPC. The moment she clicked again, she realized a problem. Is she going back to the real world or to another time and space? According to the rules of the game, the people of this different time and space are all NPCs. So, there's a chance she'll return to another plane? Lin Chen opened his eyes. The first thing I saw was a touch of pure white, which was dazzling. This must be back in time and space. A plane filled with magic and sword energy. Then she might as well go back to the game. It's good to have so many permissions. It's a terrific NPC. In another time and space, she is a scumbag. Lin Chen felt the restraint on her head. She stretched out her hand and threw away the big helmet on her head. Wait a minute. Helmet? Game helmet? Hey. Lin Chen returned to reality. Reality? She sat up excitedly, a touch of pure white. This is a room similar to a hospital. Say it is a hospital, because there are still a lot of hanging needles next to the bed. But it can also be said that it is not a hospital, because there is a particularly beautiful wardrobe next to the bed, a beautiful dresser, and beautiful flowers on the table. Like a very nice bedroom. Lin Chen stretched out his hand, slender and white. Flat. Well, he was wearing a hospital gown, the most ordinary, with such small hands. It can't be a child who wore it? Or maybe they were just reborn as children. Anyway, it's a man. Wrong. This feeling of emptiness. Lin Chen touched 2 handfuls. Where's my bird? She lifted the quilt and cried out in a sad and miserable voice. Where are you going? Accompanied by Lin Chen's particularly miserable sound. Immediately a vote of people ran in from outside. All of them were white coats dressed in white. These people looked at Lin Chen with amazement, although their eyes were full of longing, wanting to study how this person who was clearly brain dead, who only had 1 breath left, and relied on instruments to maintain his life, came back to life. Lin Chen noticed that the hanging needle she was playing was a bit complicated, and with the action she had just made, she ripped off a lot of messy patches and intubations on her body. It's a miracle, a gray-haired doctor said excitedly. Lin Chen was really afraid that the other party would faint accidentally. Could it be that broken game can really affect the cerebral cortex of people? How long did it take to wake up with the game helmet? The white coats began to study the game helmet. Gaming helmets are numbered on them. 89727. This number is indeed Lin Chen's own. But it's A. Indeed. Where are you going? Lin Chen jumped out of bed directly. This move made those old experts frightened one by one, and they all followed behind her. I'm afraid she will do something drastic. However, as she was looking around for the legendary bird, she suddenly passed by the dresser. She stopped. Back off. Back. Say hello. The person inside the mirror also said hello. Lin Chen suddenly laughed. The white-bearded old men were all stupefied. Why do you just giggle when you just recover? Isn't it crazy? There are no such cases. At most they are sleepy. How can they still be crazy? What should we do? How can we explain to Miss Bai? Isn't it the best explanation to come back to life? Even if you're crazy, isn't this something that can be treated slowly? It's better than the original situation. Lin Chen ignored the chattering voices behind him, staring at the Lori in the mirror who looks like the NPC in the game. Very speechless. It's so funny. I don't know. I thought she was an NPC in the real world. Why? Why not go back to yourself? It's back to this Lori. Now I quit the game, and can I come back? That's right, the game. Lin Chen ran to the edge of the bed like crazy and put on the game helmet again. Closing her eyes, it didn't take long for her to get back into the game. Nothing has changed. Exit again. Remove the helmet. A group of white coats, staring at each other. Right data. It must be that Lao Tzu opened it in the wrong way. Lin Chen put on his helmet again with an expressionless face. Enter the game. Exit the game. A group of lab coats stared at her with wide eyes. Lin Chen. I'm thorough. One of them, with gray hair and white coats, nodded at the person next to him and said, This must be an excesses that have been lying in bed for too long, but there must be nothing wrong with it. That's true, it must be fine. It doesn't look like crazy, so we should be fine. Maybe I just woke up and didn't quite adapt to the environment. A group of people, you say a word, I say a word, Completely ignore Lin Chen. The party. Lin Chen slowly moved in the direction of the door. This place is not a good place at first glance. These white coats seem to be very interested in her. Maybe they want to capture her for experiments? That's absolutely impossible. Lin Chen just ran to the door. I haven't had time to open the door yet. And the door opened. Then she saw a white shadow flash. Then he was hugged into his arms by a girl who smelled good and was a little familiar. Xiao Chun'er, it's good that you're okay. The voice is quite good. It is Lin Chen's favorite royal sister sound. But this man, Lin Chen really didn't know him. Eldest sister, will you let me go first? Lin Chen was about to be suffocated by the other party, so he couldn't help but say, strangled me uncomfortable. Bai Yue hurriedly let go of Lin Chen and looked at Lin Chen in surprise with a pair of beautiful eyes. And Lin Chen was also looking at the woman in front of him. The woman? It's a little familiar, but I just can't remember who it is. I don't know. And the woman is wearing a high-end custom suit, which looks like an elite in the workplace, with only a light makeup on her face, but she has a very special momentum. It is impossible to ignore, like a sword. By Fume plus the queen of the workplace. It should be. Feeling the alienation in Lin Chen's eyes, Bai Yue looked at Lin Chen with some surprise. What's wrong? She stretched out her hand and rubbed Lin Chen's head. Don't you know my sister anymore? Lin Chen didn't think about it and blurted out, Master is your sister. Naughty. The woman didn't get angry, she just frowned, helped Lin Chen up, and pressed her onto the hospital bed. You just woke up? Don't move too much? Yes. Lin Chen had to accept that he finally came out of the game and traveled to reality, but he still became a little Lori. And the fact that there is one more sister. A group of white coats immediately pulled Bai Yue away, chattering endlessly. Bai Yue, president of Bai's group. In Lin Chen's impression, Bai seems to be a group company that started with drugs. The family property seems to be quite large. But to be honest, Bai Yue, Lin Chen, seems to have seen it somewhere. Where the hell is it? Bai Yue had been talking to the group of white coats for a long time, and it was only then that she walked in the direction of Lin Chen. According to the white coats, Lin Chen slept for 2 years before he woke up, and it is estimated that he has amnesia, or he has a memory disorder, and there must be something wrong with his spirit. For Bai Yue, the survival of this girl picked up by Bai is already the greatest gift. However, Bai Yue always looked at Lin Chen with a compassionate expression, which made Lin Chen furious. Under everyone's explanation, Lin Chen was probably able to piece together why the body of the original owner was lying on the hospital bed. There was a car accident 2 years ago, and the original owner saved Bai Yue. Car accident. That's right, car accidents. Lin Chen also came back to his senses. That car accident was really big, because Lin Chen was also affected at that time. It was a bus and a car that collided at the intersection. At that time, Lin Chen was also caught off guard, and he crashed into the bus on a motorcycle. But this memory Lin Chen himself is also very vague, and it is estimated that he broke his brain at that time. So in Lin Chen's feelings, it seems that he suddenly appeared in the game after just sleeping. In essence, this is not the case. After the car accident, the little Lori in the bus climbed out of the window. That little Lori also saved many people, by the way, including Bai Yue, who was unconscious in the car. But then little Lori fell into a coma and never woke up. Little Lori, who became a vegetative person, was picked up by Bai Yue and was slowly treated at home, and a medical team was specially found to treat little Lori. About a month ago, little Lori was judged to be brain dead, and many people asked Bai Yue to give up. But Bai Yue didn't give up, even if the other party was brain dead. As long as the instrument was still plugged in, he could survive. So Bai Yue has been waiting for a miracle. Lin Chen finally understood why he was stuck in little Lori's body. Maybe it's because of that car accident. Bai Yue took her hand and was excited. It's good for you to wake up. Tell us if you want to eat, and we'll do it with you. Lin Chen didn't speak. It's just curious why a Loli would save so many people. But she soon knew why, because not long after, a young man dressed in black appeared in front of her with an excited face. Girl, you finally woke up. I'll just say, awakened people like us are different from ordinary people. How can they die casually? The awoken. Another new term. Lin Chen coughed. What she was most concerned about now was what happened to her original body. Was I the only one who survived that car accident? Of course not. You've saved a lot of people. The young man said excitedly. How's that motorcycle rider? Lin Chun asked rhetorically. The young man looked ugly. He died on the spot. Died on the spot. Lin Chun wanted to cry without tears. So it seems so natural that she stuck into Lori's body? It's really depressing. Seeing that Lin Chun's expression was very ugly, Bai Yue simply pushed the young man aside. Black Dragon, don't talk about the awakened as soon as you come. Now there are more and more awakened people, and ordinary people can obtain attributes in the game and become awakened people. I don't want Lin Chun to return to your place. That's what you said. He Lung looked depressed, touched his nose, and looked at Bai Yue. You can't control this, can you? I'm not going back. Lin Chun directly refused. What kind of awakened boot camp? I've never heard of it anywhere like this. Lin Chun didn't want to go. The Black Dragon's face darkened. Bai Yue was triumphant. Lin Chun couldn't accept the fact that he had become a Lori in real life, and he just wanted to escape the world. Give me the game helmet. I still want to play games. You can grow up in the game. The Black Dragon's eyes lit up. After you reach level 20, you can bring 1% of the game attributes to the real world, and I will teach you how to increase the percentage. No, I don't. Lin Chun didn't want to hear anything about the Awakened at all right now. It's okay, you get used to it, and you'll be interested when the time comes. The Black Dragon touched his nose. He was always rejected. He was also very hurt. Okay? Lin Chun, this little Lori, is a very good member of their team. Do you hear that now? Xiao Chunner doesn't want to get close to you at all. I have prepared a game cabin for you. Don't use the garbage like the game helmet. Bai Yue is rich. Lin Chun didn't know what to say about this sister who cared about him, not to mention that she was still a female president. She could only respond vaguely. Ding dong, bungee brain. Connected to the host. The binding is successful. There was a mechanical female voice in my head, and it was even accompanied by the sound of electricity, as if the contact was not good. Why did the smart brain come out? It's definitely not a good thing for the brain to come out. Lin Chun subconsciously thought so. Ding dong. Benji brain naturally has to keep up with the pace of bug, and it is not easy to tie such a big, thick leg. Binding. Scanning of the host's body. Lin Chun's expression was very strange. Is the previous sentence what G brain wants to say the most? Speechless. When did she become a big, thick leg? Isn't she a pathetic little who accidentally got stuck in the game space? She's even lost her body now. It is estimated that she can only stay in this little Lori's body for the rest of her life. After all, her own body had been cremated. That's right. It's cremation. This was the result of Lin Chun personally asking the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon was driven away by Bai Yue, and people from special departments like He Lung were usually given preferential treatment wherever they went, but they were unceremoniously kicked out of the door by Bai Yue. Dominatrix. People who don't know still think that you are really Lin Chun's sister? The Black Dragon rubbed his farts with a depressed face, but he could also clearly feel that Bai Yue seemed to have awakened. Anyway, the Alliance of the Awakened has been keeping an eye on Bai Yue and their family, mainly focused on Lin Chun. You must know that Lin Chun has a very high status in their Awakened Alliance. Young age, great potential. If you can continue to go back to cultivation, better. However, if Lin Chun likes to cultivate in the game, he can do it. Ordinary people only think that Ragnarok is a game, and in essence, it is a third place, connected to a different time and space. I have to figure out what Lin Chun's name is in the game. This is not difficult for the Black Dragon. After all, he had Lin Chun's identity card, and the wisdom brain that Lin Chun carried out here has already finished scanning the body. Conclusions were drawn. Ding dong, the system has been scanned. Please check your own properties. Name, Lin Chun. Age, 11 years old. Strength, 58, 10 normal. Stamina, 77, 10 for normal people. Intelligence, 137, 10 normal. Dexterity, 45, 10 normal. Skills, language proficiency, advanced. Strength amplification, advanced. Shooting, God level. In this skill, Language proficiency means that Lin Chun is proficient in the languages of various countries and can communicate normally. Strength increase. This refers to the control of strength, because the strength is 58 points, much higher than normal people. So the strength is also a little greater. Lin Chun can be regarded as understanding why that little Lori was able to save people after the car accident. Because he is an awakened person, he feels that he is carrying a burden on his shoulders, and his physical qualities are different from ordinary people. Nature is not the same as ordinary people. My physical attribute, have I gained the bonus in the game? Lin Chun is more concerned about this now. You know, she's an NPC in the game. Ding dong, yes, 10% of your attributes in the game can be brought to life. This is the result. Get her chopsticks down, because she could even see the pattern of a skull floating on the plate. If this mother goes down with chopsticks, it is estimated that she will directly see the Buddha of the Western heavens. Just as the yarn was about to eat, it suddenly shook. Even in Lin Chun's beautiful little bedroom, the pink chandelier almost fell from the ceiling. Lin Chun and Luo Sha glanced at each other with a look of surprise. Earthquakes? Unlikely. If it is a natural disaster, there will be an announcement in the system. Because Ragnarok was originally a game dedicated to being more realistic. But what's going on? Is someone going to blow up the house? Lin Chun and Luo Sha both walked out. The situation out there is terrible. Red Lotus seemed to have returned, standing at the door and looking at the huge black fat man in the distance with real concern. In the southeast corner of Odin Town, a big black fat man more than 40 meters tall appeared, and the big black fat man waved his two long arms, grabbed and lifted up any building when he saw it, and threw it to the ground. The big black fat man couldn't even see his appearance clearly. He could only see that it was pitch black. And in that pitch black whirlpool, Lin Chun even seemed to see a lot of flickering data segments. Looks like a huge bug. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for discovering the Great Demon King. The Great Demon King? The big Demon King who was rescued from the prison by G-Brain before? G-Brain once said that the Great Demon King is another bug. In order to cover Lin Chun's bug, others can't find Lin Chun. So G-Brain released another bug. Before, the Great Demon King was a black dragon, hovering up from the prison in the small town of Odin. Now, how did you become like this? To be honest, Luo Sha was also startled. Feeling the different aura on the big Demon King's body, Luo Sha looked at Lin Chun next to him with a confused expression. Why is your town so strange? What is this? Villain boss. Lin Chun replied with a confused expression. Why is it here? The villain boss only appears at the end of the expansion, and it is usually eliminated by the player, and the current expansion is capped at level 80. Luo Sha knows a lot of things, but it is also mentioned in the information book that Lin Chun bought in the GM store before. Generally, a villain boss like this is the kind of villain that will only appear in the expansion, and it will not appear until the average level of the entire game reaches the upper limit of the expansion, that is, level 80. Now the highest player is 20. There is also a large number of players who have just entered the game. The average player level seems to be 5. How did this kind of big boss appear? Oh yes, this is the boss released by Lin Chun himself. Seeing the appearance of the Great Demon King, he wanted to swallow the town of Odin. The mayor immediately sent a convoy to clean up. The Guardians are all max-level NPCs at level 180. However, that small group of escorts was caught by the Great Demon King with one hand before they could get close to the Great Demon King. There were 4 or 5 escorts that were swallowed by the Great Demon King in one bite. The main Great Demon King was all a whirlpool of data, and he couldn't see his facial features clearly. Anyway, in the end, he was gone. Luo Sha trembled. What is this? I haven't seen it before. Your town is going to be destroyed. Is this a new expansion? It doesn't seem to be the same as in the book. Lin Chun's face was also ugly, because she received a mission. Ding dong, please get rid of the Great Demon King. At the same time, there is an additional task on the task panel. Chase away the Great Demon King. Please ask the host to drive away the Great Demon King immediately. Completion time, 36 hours. Completion reward, a random administrative privilege. Failure penalty, obliteration. Lin Chun, how did you wipe it out? In the past, the brain was not like this. MMPI, ding dong, If the host can't get rid of the Great Demon King in time, let the Great Demon King leave or kill the other party. You will be discovered by the programmer. Ji's cold voice sounded in Lin Chen's ears. I believe you're a ghost. Lin Chen had heard before that Ji Brain has the ability to think independently. It was developed by more than 1,700 scientists. What else do you need for programmers? Lin Chen's eyes rolled, and he said softly, Ji Brain, you are attached to my body. Do you want to get rid of the management of the so-called programmers? The artificial intelligence developed by 1,700 scientists will definitely leave a backdoor or something. Otherwise, after the development is completed, the other party will directly let the other party let go of itself, and then the intelligent brain will deal with human beings. This backdoor should only be controlled by so-called programmers. It's better to be a programmer than one of 1,700 scientists. Lin Chen casually guessed, and he was able to explore the truth. I thought that Ji Brain would not answer. But after Lin Chen finished speaking, he heard a metallic voice in his head. That's right. Come on. Even if she knew a reason, she had to take this task even if she didn't take it. But looking at the Great Demon King so far away, if you want to destroy the other party directly, it will be difficult to reach the sky. If you dare to go, it seems likely too. This bug was made by Ji Brain itself. Should be able to communicate. So Lin Chen walked leisurely in the direction of the Great Demon King. Luo Sha was startled and stopped. You don't run away after this is the case. What are you doing rushing up? I want to be a hero. Lin Chen dropped this sentence, as well as the messy falling veil in the wind, and walked in the direction of the Great Demon King. Luo Sha chopped her feet. She originally planned to leave. But when she thought of Lin Chen's small body, it was estimated that when facing the Great Demon King, the other party's slap could make Lin Chen disappear directly. I really owe you in my last life. Luo Sha thought about it for a long time and followed. The Great Demon King stood on the outskirts of Odin Town, and when Lin Chen ran over, he opened the reward of the previous event. 13 pieces of gold gear that can be customized. This one doesn't matter. Even if Lin Chen wears these 13 pieces of golden equipment on his body now, he may not be able to do it against the Great Demon King. She had a clear mind, so it is unlikely to kill the other party directly. Driving away is the only way. But how to get rid of it? Lin Chen actually had no clue himself. So when she ran towards the Great Demon King, she did two things. The first is to take out the castle building order from the last event, used directly against the town of Odin. Ding dong, Odin Town has become your private territory, since Odin Town is only a town level, and you are using a city founding order, so the town level has been upgraded and it has become Odin City. The city of Odin is under maintenance. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows. This was really an unexpected joy. The town of Odin is going to be upgraded to a city, and the whole town is wrapped in a transparent cover. This cover is like a golden bell hood iron cloth shirt, and for a while, the big demon king outside was unable to take the buildings in the city. The original Great Demon King could punch a hole in the roof with a single punch. Now the punch is smashed, and there is no reaction at all. The Great Demon King was also confused. Then Lin Chen quickly released a full server event. Although, it's just the end of a full server event. However, the rights she is using now are also given to her by the brain. Even if it's a bit secret, the programmer won't be able to find any problems when the time comes. Lin Chen pondered that the reason why Ji Brain did not delegate all rights was probably because the scientist who made Ji Brain had restrictions on Ji Brain. This is also something that Ji Brain has no way to do, and because Lin Chen's humanoid bug is stuck into the game, Ji Brain simply binds Lin Chen to get more rights. Just as Lin Chen thought, she had just released the full server event on her side, which attracted Wang Yu's attention. At this time, Wang Yu was eating instant noodles on the -18-ish floor of the entire game company, and suddenly heard the activity prompt and looked confused. Why is this event happening again? And this event is in the Huaxia district, so what about players in other regions? I'll take a look at the content of this event. Wang Yu looked confused and wanted to withdraw. Defend the city of Odin. The city of Odin is attacked by the Great Demon King. Please guard the city of Odin and disperse the Great Demon King. Quest rewards. Earn rewards based on damage rankings. First place, Golden Gear, 5,000 gold. Second to third place, 3 pieces of purple equipment, 2,000 gold. 4th to 6th place, 1 piece of purple equipment, 1,000 gold. 7th to 10th place, 3 pieces of blue equipment, 500 gold. 11th to 20th place, 1 piece of blue equipment, 200 gold. 21st to 50th place, 3 pieces of green equipment, 100 gold. 51st to 99th place, 1 piece of green equipment, 50 gold. 100th to 999th place, 3 pieces of white equipment, 20 gold. 999th place and above, 10 coins. It's another all-server event, and this full-server event is in the Huaxia district. Of course, Lin Chun knew that it was absolutely impossible to clean up this great demon king with his own ability. It is also impossible to beat the other party to death. Unless there is one case. Ants bite elephants to death. This is a full-server event, and it was released in Huaxia. But after she released this event, she added Odin City to every town teleporter on the server, and it was still free to teleport. How many people are there in the world? It's 2222, and the world's population is 10.7 billion. And the game Ragnarok has a total of 4 billion users. Lin Chun doesn't guarantee that everyone is willing to come, but as long as you participate in this event, you can get 10 gold coins. This is equivalent to 10 gold coins picked up for nothing, and someone will break their heads and squeeze this way. Lin Chun's expectations were good. Not long after the event was released, the whole server was boiling. Wang Yu was even more shocked. At this time, the forum had already been discussed. If it was withdrawn, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, Wang Yu has only one choice, and that is to cooperate with G-Brain to change this activity. Because he found out that the boss target this time was actually the biggest demon king in the current version. The devil knows why this thing suddenly appeared outside the town of Odin. Of course, this thing was originally escaped from the prison in the small town of Odin. The current expansion has not been updated, and if the Great Demon King is killed by the player at this time, a new expansion will have to be opened. When the progress is too fast, the game company will still be sprayed with blood. Each step of this progress will be accompanied by the development of the degree of Reiki recovery in the whole world. According to the original plan, when all players reached level 80, that is, when the first expansion was about to end, players would clean up the Great Demon King. It will open the connection between the real world and different time and space, just like this connection is now 1.5%, and after the expansion packs up the Great Demon King, the proportion of connections will reach about 10%. At that time, the strange phenomena that appear in the real world will also increase exponentially, but the world is not ready for this so far. Therefore, the Great Demon King must not die at this time. Wang Yu's fingers flew, entering one instruction after another, holding the chopsticks with an unhappy face. Is there a problem with my previous setting? While he was talking, Yang Xiaowei called. Wang Yu pressed the connect button, and Yang Xiaowei was angry. I think it's your nerves. Turn off this activity to Lao Tzu. Wang Yu was very unhappy here. Who are you talking to? I think you're floating. That Lao Tzu doesn't care anyway. It doesn't have much to do with Lao Tzu. Wang Yu simply threw the keyboard aside and yelled at the phone. Yang Xiaowei was startled, and his voice couldn't help but be a little smaller. Aren't I worried? That big demon king should have appeared last, but why did he suddenly appear now? And there was only a full server event before. It's just over. Now, what's the matter? The rewards are too good, duh. Is the reward good? There are so many people in the whole server. How many people can get it? Wang Yu said speechlessly. I'm changing it now. You don't talk nonsense. Since the activity has been sent out, if it is withdrawn, it is not a joke in generosity. Although I don't know what kind of moth this smart brain is making trouble, Wang Yu still has to change this activity a little. Reward or something. Wang Yu is too lazy to move. The back door he left behind his brain can control many things. Although the Great Demon King is a bit weird, like a bug, Wang Yu can give instructions to the Great Demon King. The premise on his side is that the event ends when the Great Demon King's HP is reduced to 50%. You can't kill the Great Demon King. Make the players suffer a little. Didn't many players make a lot of money in the last event? Let them spend all this money. Let them spend their equipment too. The price of Odin City was already higher than other cities, and Wang Yu increased it by 30% on this basis. That's how satisfying I was. There are many activities on the whole server, and the rewards are good. It's not that easy for ordinary people to take. In the last full server event, It was the people who got the golden weapon from the monarch side of the flower country, and it can be successfully brought to the real world. Ordinary trade unions and organizations, in the last event, can only be said to have made a name for their guild, if you really count it. In fact, it is still a bit of a loss. But advertising naturally costs money. The people in the major guilds understand. So as soon as the full server event starts this time, there are still a lot of people participating. It's just that young Xiaowei hasn't reacted at this time, because as soon as he made a phone call, Wang Yu raised all the prices in Odin City. He has no gaming experience. If I had known, I wouldn't have called. At this time, the game forum has exploded directly. And that's just the game forum in Huaxia. As for abroad, although there are also several posts being discussed, but most of them were teleported directly to Odin City. Linshan finished the event, and Odin City was still under construction. There is an invincible golden light shield outside the entire city, which also makes it impossible for the Great Demon King to continue to cause damage to Odin City. At the same time, the originally narrow streets also expanded rapidly at this moment. Tall buildings rise from the ground. After all, it is the system that upgrades the city. That's a fast speed. And a map and a dialogue box also appeared in front of Linshan. Please set the location of the Castle Lord's mansion. Linshan naturally would not set it up in his own store. Her shop is still useful. She directly occupies the mayor's original position, and the mayor is now the captain of the guard, as the number of members of the escort increases throughout the city. The number of employees has expanded from 36 to 136. The city lord's mansion also rose from the ground. After all, it was a system construction, and the speed was called a fast. Linshan can also standardize the details by himself in the future. After doing this, she didn't bother to care about the big demon king outside. So she simply plunged into the store, planning to make a lot of dishes to come out and pit the players. No, cheat. No, help the players. Luo Sha watched Linshan finish these two things. The eyes are full of admiration. Otherwise, I'll follow you. Luo Sha looked at Linshan with a smile. You definitely need to change mentors here. My mysterious profession, there is only one. In the whole server. As soon as the words fell, Lin Chun took out a hat from his backpack and put it on his head. Therefore, Lin Shin has one more on his head. An all-round career mentor. Doffing. Well, I take it back. But Luo Sha still has to prove that he is useful. I'm different from you, after all. I'm specialized in transferring to this. Although you can change to a full career, I'm still useful. There is no reason for the doffing. Just play Lippy. In fact, Lin Shin also hopes that this beautiful sister will be stationed in Odin City. Now that Odin City has expanded, the NPCs are still the same as before. The small street where Lin Chin's shop was located was still a small street. Not much has changed from before. Therefore, it is necessary to attract more NPCs to the town. In a city like this, the number of NPCs will not increase, except that the number of escorts will increase. Only Lin Chun could attract it himself. This Lin Chun still has his own things to do, and it is impossible to stay in the city all day and wait for someone else to change jobs. Therefore, it would be better if the doffing could come. Come on, then, Lin Chun said with a smile. The city lord's mansion is for you to live in. Then am I considered the lady of the city lord? Luo Sha made a joke. Harmless. But he didn't expect Lin Chun to nod. You say yes. Then I want a good wing. Yes. 16 beautiful little maids. That's fine. There's also a chef who can cook different dishes every day. You can just get married. Get out. After deciding on the place to live, Luo Sha thought about it carefully. Now that I have joined you, I still have to say something over there. But for today's event, why don't I help? Otherwise, with the current level of players, it is easy to die. You can go and help, but take care of yourself. Don't be killed by the Great Demon King. You just stand on the wall and add blood to the players below. Lin Chun nodded and said, Our holy priest has a special passive skill. That is, those who join our camp can get a special buff. Falling Yarn smiled. Healer's Heart. Passive skills. Level 12. Increases the maximum HP of all players in the same faction by 20%. Increases attack by 5%. Double defense increased by 10%. Regenerate 5,000 HP per second. Level 12 is the highest skill level. However, it is said that if you eat some special fruit, you can increase your level skill to 15. But the Dafeng is too lazy to get it. It's not the highest, but it's awesome. Luo Sha smiled shyly. Actually, I don't need you to go out at all. I'm standing in the city, and all players can get this special buff. Lin Shen gave a thumbs up. It's awesome. She also thought about the residents of the career mentors and the 12 mentors who had been transferred. Maybe they also have special buffs that can be shared with players. As a result, Luo Sha snorted coldly and said, "The buff that can be obtained by players of the whole camp like me is only available in the Holy Sacrifice." Lin Shen didn't speak. She didn't expect Luo Sha to know what she was thinking, and she was a little depressed. However, she flipped through the list of all the hidden professions that she could transfer, and the buffs of the whole camp were really not. Only the Holy Sacrifice had them. Immediately, she picked out 2 buffs for the whole faction. She carries these 2 skills with her. After all, she is a full career skills instructor, and she knows all the skills of all professions. And this skill seems to work on NPCs. I just don't know if I can bring a copy in. Thinking about it, it shouldn't be. If the dungeon is able to bring in full-time skills, doesn't that turn the sky upside down? One of these 2 buffs is called the Heart of the Brave, and the other is the Heart of Swiftness. Heart of the Brave. Passive skill, level 12, provides 50% base attack damage to all faction players, 10% stamina, 30% critical strike chance, 50% critical damage. Swift Heart. Passive skill, level 12, provides 50% base evasion chance to all faction players, 10% stamina, 50% movement speed. Luo Sha was stunned. Although these 2 skills have no way to affect NPCs, so they can only take a look. But she found that Lin Shen had really found out 2 full camp skills, and she was a little speechless at first, but quickly found an excuse. These 2 skills are not from the Huaxia region. I don't know, that's normal. Lin Shen just smiled and didn't speak. Make 100 servings of dishes and throw them directly to Red Lotus. Lin Shen hurriedly roared at the falling yarn next to him and said, "Help me see the progress of the activity. I still have something." Is it a matter of reality? Falling Sha's eyes lit up. Why don't I go to the hunting area to find you? Lin Shen's head was big, and he hurriedly found a reason. It's a matter of reality, but I still don't want you to come to me. I'm really there, she said, shedding 2 tears. This scared the Daf. Luo Sha hurriedly said, don't cry, I understand." She thought, it must be Lin Shen who is too poor. Number 888 in the Split Sky Zone is a public toilet, and Lin Shen definitely didn't deliberately report the wrong house number. Then there is another reason, that is, because Lin Shen lives in a public toilet. Although this speculation is not good, it is also possible. Because Lin Shen said that she would rather stay in the game than go out. She spends most of her time in the game. In this game, she can even become the lord of the city. Maybe it's because she's too poor in the Rift Zone, so she escapes reality and comes to the game. It's not out of the question. Luo Sha finally made a friend, and naturally refused to give up. Since Lin Shen was unwilling to say it, he was unwilling to let her go to her. Well, Dafeng naturally follows the decision of the little partner. At the same time, I also made another decision to protect this little friend in the game. Lin Shen didn't know that Luo Sha thought so much because of one sentence. She's just going to change the trumpet to claim the reward. What a beautiful misunderstanding. Although she is an NPC large and can use all class skills, these skills cannot be applied to NPCs. Even if this number attribute is high and the attack power is a little higher, you can't get a reward. In this case, there is no gaming experience at all. So Lin Shen decisively cut it into a trumpet. As for this, only one NPC puppet remains. Log back in. Lin Shen was really refreshed. Now, not only the trumpet can take advantage of this event to enter Odin City, and you can also get rewards, by the way. It's a win-win-win-win. Immediately, she dragged the legendary big stick into the teleportation array of the novice village. There was already a long queue outside the teleportation array, but they disappear pretty quickly. However, soon the style went wrong. Several vicious men with the same prefix on their heads rushed forward, especially the dozen or so people in front. That's called a strong one. The one at the head is called Axueming, a man who is nearly 2 meters tall, with 2 big axes on his back, and his level is level 12. If the guess is correct, the other party should have turned into a berserker. This guy may be tall in his own right, and with the fact that he has turned into a berserker, he looks like a small mountain. Suddenly appeared in front of many players and said impatiently to those players, "You all level up. Don't enter the teleportation array. We have an axe gang in this place." A group of players look at each other. "Why?" said the bold yeller. "Just by virtue of our axe gang. We've already entered this novice village." Axuaming said with an unhappy face. "Do you still want to level up in this novice village in the future? What's more, this event is only available to high-level players, and low-level players like you use to deliver food to bosses." "Who said that?" Someone in the crowd immediately disagreed. "It's good that we are low-level players, but as long as you participate in this event, you can get 10 gold coins. How can anyone hold the teleportation array like you? I won't let you pass. How about it?" Axuaming smiled and said lightly at the player who spoke just now, "You are only level 8. If our axe gang stares at you and kills you in the future, what will you do?" Lin Chun raised his eyebrows. "It's a little unpleasant. Occupy the teleportation array of the novice village. That's really a hole in the head. Fights are not allowed in the newbie village and in the main city. If you fight, you will be struck by lightning." But Lin Shen didn't care so much when a few of the equipment on his body, although it was some white equipment, all of them were stuffed into his backpack. All that's left is the weapon from the mystery pack. After all, this weapon is bound. It won't fall, it won't be lost, it won't be destroyed. "Beat him!" Lin Shen shouted, and the stick leg struck directly in the direction of the Axuaming. That's called a murderous. The surrounding players were stunned, because brawls are not allowed in the novice village. So most people's thinking is to talk first. But Lin Shan would not get used to the other party. Mouth cannon? Lao Tzu doesn't want to quarrel with you. It's not interesting. Don't make a noise if you can do it. The female player who rushed up with a big stick mallet really surprised Axuaming at first. But look at the level of the other party. Level. That's the kind of player. What damage can be done to him? A level 12 berserker. There will be no harm. It's tickling. The female gamer in front of her is very good looking. Although that look is the result of the upward adjustment. But in the game, this is not taken into account, and it is also a face to take this beautiful female player into the bag and bring it back. The Axuaming didn't dodge at all, and before Lin Shen rushed up, he looked at Lin Shen with a smile and said, "Girl, you are so good looking. Why don't we get married in the game?" He had just finished speaking. Lin Shen's mallet smashed the head of the Axuaming. -133. -300. Critical. -305. Critical. -127. Lin Shen's speed is still quite fast. The Axuaming didn't even have time to take out the 2 big plate axes. And the man fell. And what makes Axuaming most oppressed is, his big plate axe actually fell. It's a blue piece of equipment. Without saying a word, Lin Chun swept the blue equipment into his backpack. Then, a thunderbolt suddenly appeared in the sky above the novice village, and it smashed straight into Lin Chen's body. Lin Chun fell to the ground, then quickly climbed up, because Lin Chun is a first class. Therefore, after Lin Chun died, he did not drop the level and did not drop anything. If the player dies before level 10, the equipment on the player will not be lost by level. If you die after level 10, you will lose your equipment and the contents of your backpack when you drop your level. Of course, there is a probability of dropping something. And this Axuaming is really unlucky, and he dropped the most valuable big plate axe in his body at once. Also quickly let Lin Chun sweep into his pocket. A group of players at the back of the watch were dumbfounded. Lin Chun dared to make a move, they might not dare to. Most of those players are under level 10. After all, the novice village. With Lin Chun opening his head, a group of people flocked to it. But their damage is too low. Only Lin Chun, the damage is called a high, crispy one, can only go 2 moves under Lin Chun's hands. If there is a critical hit, it may be a second with a mallet. If it's a little meteor, it's 4 or 5 strokes. But for Lin Chun, that's not a problem. Although Lin Chun did it, he would always attract thunder and lightning. But the mallet on her body could not be dropped, and even though she was resurrected many times on the spot, the mallet still did not fall. On the other hand, the members of the Axe Gang, Those members are all in the teens. Fighting with Lin Shun is really a loss. What's more, there was a large group of blocked players behind Lin Shun, protecting Lin Shun from harm. In addition to being killed by lightning, the people of the Axe Gang were stunned and didn't touch a corner of Lin Shun's clothes. On the contrary, the Axe Gang suffered heavy casualties. Half of the high-quality equipment on these dozen people was lost, and the level quickly dropped below level 10. Where is such a desperate 13th sister? The egg hurts. In the end, Lin Shun took 7 or 8 pieces of equipment from others and entered the teleportation array with satisfaction. On the other hand, the Axe Gang was not stupid. They were killed by Lin Shun again and again, and none of the equipment on Lin Shun's body fell. I knew that Lin Shun was weird. Later, they also stopped getting up. One by one, they fell to the ground and did not want to get up. We should give that person the best treatment. What is your treatment? Our treatment is a boyfriend. Do you understand a boyfriend? Come on. People are so beautiful, young ladies who can look up to your boyfriend. That is, maybe you have bad intentions and want to kidnap other people's little girls, and then do some heinous things. Don't you guild people often do this? There are a lot of voices like this. Lin Shun frowned. There were too many people around here. It was very annoying. She hooked her hand, and a level 180 guard standing on the avenue walked over respectfully. Lord, City Lord. Lin Shun's vanity was immediately full, and he nodded and said, "These people are obstructing public order and obstructing traffic, and they are all cleaned up." Players. MMPI. Lin Shun said that the cleanup. It's nothing more than letting those convoys get out of the way. Don't let all the players accumulate in the teleportation circle. After all, after a while, her trumpet was online, and she had to rush to Qinglong City. However, the players sitting on the ground didn't know Lin Shun at all. When Lin Shun appeared, several players quickly stood up, pointed at Lin Shun's nose and scolded, "Who are you? What do we have to do with you here?" The level 180 guard stepped forward, bold, dare to insult our city lord to his face. After the guard finished speaking, the spear thrust forward. The player who cursed was dead. Your guards kill the player's grass and get 4 intelligence. It's great. I didn't expect that the players killed by the guards would also add attributes to Lin Shun's own attributes. Level 180 guard. Castle Lord. At this point, the players ran a large area, forcefully left away for Lin Shun, a direct path to the teleportation array. It's true that they're all sitting here, and it's a bit unsightly. Lin Shun is not a person who likes to kill, although the killing of the player is quite top. But now that she is the city lord, it is naturally impossible to show such a side in front of the player. She walked slowly in the direction of the teleportation array. There were a few bold attempts to talk to Lin Shun. Let's see if we can get the task from Lin Shun. Lord of the city, you are a newcomer, so take care of me. Lord of the city, you are so good looking. I really didn't expect our city lord to be a little Lori. Castle Lord. Lin Shun was overwhelmed. Fortunately, the 180 guards were not decorations, and they stepped forward and stopped all those people. Players will remember that this level 180 guard just killed a player. One by one, they quietly stopped talking. Lin Shun entered the teleportation array as he wished. NPCs do not need gold to use the teleportation array. She soon came to the Blue Dragon City. I saw the lord of the city leave. A group of players breathed a sigh of relief. These people want to block everything here, just like they did just now, because the big one before was taken offline from here. However, the level 180 guards glared at the group and said to the players, "Give you a minute to get out of here, and don't block near the teleportation array, or you'll all be arrested for obstructing traffic." After he finished speaking, almost all the players accepted such a task. Also awards 100 experience points. Local tyrants. The players quickly dispersed. A few thieves pretended to be clever and made themselves invisible near the teleportation array. However, the time came. The level 180 guard immediately stepped forward. Kill all the players. Ding dong, your guardian kills the player world for you to taste. Gain power +5. Ding dong, your guard kills the ingredients of the world and gains strength +3. Ding dong, your guardian kills for hours and gains agility +7. Lin Shun? Although it is not known what the hell is going on with these 3 players, but as long as there is a stat bonus. Lin Shan always took all the orders. Qinglong City is very lively. Moreover, it is one of the 4 main cities of Huaxia District, much larger than the city of Odin. Where is the sweeper? Lin Shan glanced at the map. The map will only be marked with functional NPCs, such as storekeepers, cloth shop owners, etc. Sweeping monks are hidden NPCs that are hard to find. Lin Shan found the hat of the city lord of Odin City in his backpack and put it on his head. The yellowish one is very conspicuous. She grabbed a nearby NPC and asked where the sweeping monk was. After all, she's also a high-level NPC. The little NPCs have to please her when they see her. Asking for directions all the way, Lin Shan finally found the legendary sweeping monk. But he's a wine and meat monk, isn't he? Long hair, long eyebrows, and a long beard are just enough. Gray clothes. Sit under a big tree, with a broom in one hand and a large chicken leg in the other. Eat with a mouth full of oil. If it weren't for the fact that the other party did have a pale yellow name of Sweeping Monk on the top of his head, Lin Shan also suspected that this guy was not a sweeping monk at all. I'm pondering. Lin Shan saw a man wearing a black nightsuit, a black hat, and a black mask in broad daylight. Sneakily came to the sweeping monk. This is clearly a player. His name is Black Dragon. Black Dragon, the name is quite familiar. By the way, isn't the awakened person who looked for Lin Shan in reality before called Black Dragon? Could it be the same person? It's a possibility. Looking at the person in front of him carefully, his body shape is still a little similar to the Black Dragon in reality. The player, the Black Dragon, sneakily came to the sweeping monk and stretched out a claw. The sweeping monk took a handful of coins from the Black Dragon's hand. I don't know how many transactions were made. The two of them should have transferred money. Then the sweeping monk smiled and took out a dirty pamphlet from his dusty clothes. Handed to the player Black Dragon. The player's Black Dragon opened, and a golden light shone on his body. Even if you have already learned this book. Then he bowed to the sweeping monk. The sweeping monk nodded lightly. Get out, bring all the materials next time. Some materials can't be made up with money. The Black Dragon nodded at this time, thankful for Dade, and left. Lin Shan frowned and looked at the back of the Black Dragon in the distance, thinking that this guy had mentioned it in reality before, saying that it was a special method to increase the increase ratio. I don't know who told him that he was going to take the task from the sweeping monk. Lin Shan stepped forward. Haven't gotten close to the sweeping monk yet. One of the other party spirits stood up. He glanced Lin Shan up and down and sighed, It's really awesome. I haven't seen it to be mixed with you. Lin Shan's expression was a little impatient. Mental method. Okay. The sweeping monk took out a dusty book from his bosom again. This is it for you. Lin Shan squinted his eyes and took the book. Ding dong. Congratulations on obtaining the heart method. Finished? Lin Shan nodded and said, Thank you. I have a reluctant request. Lin Shan was about to give the money, and when he asked about the price, the sweeping monk said to Lin Shan excitedly. She raised an eyebrow and didn't speak. After all, she could feel the respect that the sweeping monk had for her. It is precisely because of this respect that she is able to die. The way I give you is the best, and the efficiency of the improvement is also high. The sweeping monk said with a flattering face, The highest level, of course. The task here is also the most difficult. But for someone like you, it should be easy to accomplish it. But as you can see, my overall rating is not high, and the amount of money I can receive every month is also very small. So can you do me a favor? Mention my overall rating. Lin Shan was a little surprised. She can indeed increase the overall rating of NPCs. But why would the other party know? Fluoroscopy or identification? When Lin Shan frowned and thought about the question, the sweeping monk spoke sensibly again. Don't worry, if you need to pay up and down, I will pay for it myself. I have a lot of money. Lin Shan looked at the sweeping monk in front of him with a smile. How much money do you have? The overall rating of this sweeping monk is indeed not high. There is only a grade A. However, if the other party is really rich, he doesn't need to rely on the monthly income. Unless, in addition to giving money, the monthly salary also gives something else. It was these other things that made the sweeping monk so longing. No more, no less, I have 1 million gold coins here, which should be enough for you to go up and down. The sweeping monk was very sensible and quickly took out a bag of money from his arms and handed it to Lin Chun. Lin Chun naturally smiled. For her, there was no need for any dots. Her skill could have raised an NPC to a higher level, but she had to make it clear to the other party. With my current authority, it's only 1 million gold coins, and I can only help you raise one level. Can you accept it? Mention a level that is also in our grade. Incomparably precious. The sweeping monk looked at Lin Chen's expression and became more and more respectful. It's okay. A level is also love. What the heck? Lin Chen didn't think too much, shook his head and said, okay, I'll give you an upgrade now. After speaking, Lin Chun moved his fingers. The sweeping monk immediately raised the rank. The other man's eyes widened. I didn't expect it to be so simple. It doesn't seem like there's anything to be done. Other words, the 1 million gold coins are for honoring the adults. Maybe, if you have money in the future, you can come to an adult and upgrade your level. The sweeping monk mistakenly thought that Lin Chun could increase his level infinitely here. So he looked at Lin Chen's expression and became more and more respectful. This is simply a beautiful misunderstanding. Lin Chen nodded at the sweeping monk and then planned to leave. As a result, the sweeping monk quickly packed up his things and followed her. Lin Chen? The sweeping monk respectfully, my lord, you have raised my level, and I will be an NPC in your city in the future. It was a real bonus. The existing NPCs in Odin City are indeed a little small, especially the functional ones. NPCs with special functions like sweeping monks, Odin City is naturally welcome. Of course, if this goods go to Odin City. Lin Chen's trumpet naturally didn't have to go to Qinglong City to learn the mental method. Let's go back together. Lin Chun was still cold, but the sweeping monk felt that this was Lin Chen's charity. It is rare for an NPC in a high position to be able to raise the rating level of other NPCs and be so humble. NPC Sweeper adds 100 loyalty points to you. Isn't the full value of loyalty points 100? Add 100, won't it be full? Lin Chun was slightly surprised. This sweeping monk has a lot of functions, but why is it so bad? It stands to reason that an NPC with a special function like him should be better mixed. Lin Chen was talking to the sweeping monk. The doffing is online. Good sister, you're finally here. I've been waiting for a long time. Luo Sha was actually standing in a small pavilion not far from the sweeping monk. Lin Chen didn't pay attention when he came over just now, so he didn't see the other party. At this time, Lin Chen was completely speechless because of a good sister who fell off the veil. Sounds a little depressing. Luo Sha quickly ran over and grabbed Lin Chen's shoulder with one hand. Have you learned the heart law? Not yet. Lin Chen really didn't have time to read the dusty book in his backpack. Luo Sha turned his head to stare at the sweeping monk. Your service attitude is too bad. Believe it or not, I will give you a bad review, so that you can't be promoted. I'm sorry, I've upgraded. The sweeping monk is very embarrassed. Lin Chen frowned. There seemed to be a lot of secrets between this veil and the sweeping monk's words. What does the rating have to do with the good reviews? Lin Chen asked rhetorically. Before the sweeping monk could speak, the yarn was like a bamboo tube pouring beans, and continued. Of course, a functional NC like him has a bad attitude, and it will be difficult to go up in the comprehensive rating. NPCs with a lot of positive reviews are especially easy to upgrade. In addition to being a transfer mentor for the holy priests, I'm also a novice wet nurse, so I have a lot of praise. Lin Chun can be regarded as knowing why the level of the falling yarn is much higher than that of the sweeping monk with this special function. This sweeping monk is estimated to be difficult for players and NPCs because of the problem of mental method. Attitude is everything. You finally came to Qinglong City, so you can't go back like this. Luo Sha grabbed Lin Chen. I'll invite you to dinner. As a result, Lin Chen didn't say anything. I heard the sweeping monk snort coldly. I want to eat the elbow of the ASBC building. I can't eat you. Falling Sha snorted coldly, slightly unhappy. Lin Chen nodded. I also want to eat elbows. Luo Sha grabbed Lin Chen's arm. Let's go. Sister will take you to eat. I also need 2 caddies of Mao Dai. The sweeping monk followed behind Lin Chen, his saliva flowing all over the ground. The falling yarn should not have been heard. It seems that Luo Sha is quite familiar with Qinglong City and is introducing the scenery to Linshan 4. This place is a commercial area, and many shops are not sold, mainly because the players have no money and the NPCs don't have much money. Lin Chen's eyes lit up. Why don't I buy one? The shop's in Blue Dragon City. It's exciting to think about. What are you buying it for? Luo Sha rolled her eyes. You have a whole city. Why do you need a small shop? It's hard to describe the prices in Odin City. Lin Chen just smiled and didn't speak. But the trumpet must buy a big store in Qinglong City. It's not clear how much of it can be brought to life. The first thing to determine is the skill of the trumpet and the attribute of the trumpet. And what about the equipment? If the large equipment can be brought to life, the large can also be customized. Isn't that cool? It doesn't matter if it's large or small. Anyway, it made no difference to Lin Chen. Seeing Lin Chen running away, Luo Sha shook his hand in front of Lin Chen. Little girl, I didn't say you. Don't eat such meat if you eat too many elbows and can't digest it. It's in the game, Lin Chen reminded. That's right. Luo Sha nodded. You won't get fat in the game. The sweeping monk said slowly behind Luo Sha, then you won't have no money, so you won't be invited, right? Nonsense. Hearing this, the falling yarn exploded. Today's elbow is enough. So the three of them soon sat down in the lobby of the HSBC building. The sweeping monk was buried, and Xiaoer was reluctant to let him in. So Lin Chen simply wrapped up the entire HSBC building, and the sweeping monk was qualified to follow Lin Chen upstairs for dinner. Ding dong, the sweeping monk's loyalty to you is increased by 10. Ding dong, since the sweeping monk's loyalty to you reaches 110, activate the absolute loyalty skill. Absolute loyalty. No matter what happens, the other party will not betray you. That is, after reaching 110. This loyalty will not go down. Not bad either. At this time, the sweeping monk looked at Lin Chen's expression, which was called a grateful dade. Boss? As soon as he said this, Luo Sha exploded. You are old and ugly. Call our sister the boss. I feel disgusting if you are not disgusting. The sweeping monk scratched his head, just scratched out a louse in his hair, and blew it disapprehantly. That's a bit unappetizing. Even Lin Chen couldn't stand it a little. Sweeping monk, when you arrive in Odin City in a while, remember to take a bath. If you don't have a place to go to the city lord's mansion. As soon as I heard this, the sweeping monk was extremely moved. The boss is really wise. Luo Sha looked unhappy. I told you that you were not allowed to call the boss. The sweeping monk really thought about it seriously this time. That's called aunt? Lin Chen sprayed directly. Just call the boss, it's nothing. Or call Big Brother. Luo Sha looked Lin Chen up and down and laughed with a snort. You little guy, what about the eldest brother? Don't you know that you are a woman? You're the woman, Lin Chen said in his heart. But only in the heart. Because she knows that now she is an out-and-out little Lori, whether in the game or in reality. I can't help it. When several people were eating elbows, Lin Chen was suddenly stunned. In fact, it's not just Lin Chen. The veils and sweeping monks were stunned, because they could all clearly see that a line of red words appeared on the screen in front of them. Blue Dragon City has declared war on Odin City. Declare war? Right now? Toxic, right? Lin Chen was inexplicable. Just because she snatched the veil and the sweeping monk? As for it, there are so many NPCs in such a large area of Qinglong City, and occasionally one or two are missing. What's the big deal? As for the declaration of war? But Lin Chen's expression was indifferent. Hit and fight. Who's afraid of whom? But how to fight the war between the main city and the main city? In front of Lin Chen, the sweeping monk and the falling veil, a dialogue box appeared. Do you want to enter a siege? Luo Sha whispered a reminder beside Lin Chen. City Lord, after we choose to agree to enter, we will become NPCs on the side of Odin City and enter the battlefield. And the families will also enter the battlefield accordingly and attack. As long as you destroy the opponent's crystal in the battlefield, you can win. It's very simple. But when we go in, we may not know each other. But it's not a big deal, I think. Dafeng is very confident. The sweeping monk nodded fiercely. The boss is the most powerful. The boss is awesome. One has the confidence of a fan. A chicken soup with a mystery. Under the leadership of the two younger brothers, Lin Shen finally entered the siege battle. Click to enter. The sweeping monk and the falling veil disappeared directly. But a big turntable appeared in front of Lin Shen. She didn't even look at it and started spinning the wheel. Eventually, the hands of the turntable rested on one of the grids. Lin Shen hadn't had time to see clearly what was written on that grid, and the man was gone. It's so hateful. After a burst of white light, Lin Shen appeared in the siege battle. But isn't that a bit low? Lin Shen found that what she could see was not very high, and there was grass next to it, but her vision could only see half of the grass. Is this becoming Lori again? Lori smaller than Lori? Unlikely. Is there such a short Loli? Or is the grass 2 meters tall? Lin Shen soon had a reference. A tall tower. She opens the mini-map. This map is a bit similar to the map of a game LOL hundreds of years ago, divided into 3 ways: upper, middle, and lower. There are 3 crystal towers on each road, and there is a huge crystal in the highlands. And Lin Shen is now on the side of Odin City. Soldier. That's right. It's a creep. He also had a short staff in his hand. Oh, still a crispy creep. Isn't it enough to kill people with 2 hits? Lin Shen gritted his teeth and glanced at his attributes. Name, Lin Shen. Class, Siege Creeps. Strength, 1219. Siege Creep Stat plus 10. Stamina, 1249. Siege Creep Attribute plus 10. Intelligence, 1348. Siege Creep Stat plus 10. Dexterity, 1219. Siege Creep Stats plus 10. Hey, yes, not everyone can be a creep. Not everyone has such a powerful attribute after becoming a creep. Lin Shen, a small soldier, is simply a fighter among the small soldiers. The kind that is not afraid of heaven and earth. What's more, she is really different from ordinary minions. She can manipulate her own minions out of the mechanical team. Most creeps are born from the crystal and will foolishly run all the way to the first crystal tower. PK with the opponent's creeps, when regardless of whether you fight or not. Anyway, after losing, he reincarnated, and he became a creep again. After winning, it's nothing. But Lin Shen found that she could go back to the camp and find the quartermaster to buy equipment and skills. Skins can also be bought. Of course, Lin Shen also found that she seemed to be the only one who became a small soldier. The other NPCs come in and are divided into female warriors and male warriors by gender. Wear the exact same outfit and run to the front to play against someone else. If you win and earn a lot of points, you can exchange them for skills or equipment from the quartermaster. And most of the players come in. They have their own characteristics. Wear your own clothes and go in groups to organize an attack. Of course, there are some people who come in and are just in a daze. After all, this was the first time they had played this kind of siege game. In addition to fighting, grain and grass can also be transported. However, he had to go to the enemy camp, and the Emperor of the Mountain High was transported back from afar. At first, the players were at a loss, but then they started to prepare for themselves. As for the creeps, in the eyes of the players and the NPCs, it is an ATM. Lin Shen was annoyed. How did he cross over to an ATM? After taking a turn around the camp, Lin Shen walked on his little short legs and ran towards the granary of Odin City with great vigor. Generally speaking, players who count on delivering food and getting points are basically the kind of people who are very vegetable. Who can kill people and not kill people? Kill or NPC to earn 3 points. To deliver grain, a bag of grain is equal to 1 point. So everyone in their right minds want to kill. If you kill a creep, you can get gold. This gold coin is not the same as the gold coin used outside. This gold can only be used in siege battles. You can buy healing flasks or potions with attributes. Potions are time-sensitive, and when they die, they don't exist. So it's more pitted. A crispy creature like Lin Shen with a short staff can provide 28 gold coins. The small artillery carriage provides 11 gold. Creeps with shields provide 45 gold. Lin Shen secretly found the granary of Odin City. The grass around this granary was dense, and it was still the kind of very tall grass. A dwarf like Lin Shen couldn't find it when he hid inside. Not long after, a team of players from Qinglong City came majestically, and at first glance they were good at carrying food. and their eyes were full of light when they saw the food. The first few rushed directly, picked up a grain on the ground, and ran out. But he had only taken 2 steps. A large red number appears on the head. -1244. Critical. The poor player only had a few hundred points of blood in total. Died on the spot. Congratulations to the host for killing the player. I'm not a pirate. Gain power +1. It is important to know that the attributes obtained here are the base attributes. Under the bonus of Lin Chen's original equipment, there is more than one improvement, but even so, it still made Lin Chen disgusted. A rookie is a rookie. Gee, Punisher. Lin Chen secretly poked and poked here, killing a player. It immediately attracted the attention of the player next to him. Be careful, it's poisonous here. It kills people. A player with messy hair yelled. Is toxic, but not poison gas. Lin Chen held a short staff, and the attack was also a long-range attack. The man had just walked into Lin Chen's attack range, and he fell down with a snap. Congratulations to the host for killing me, who is not a beauty, and getting a silver heartgrass. Actually got a herb? Lin Chen's expression was strange, glancing at the weed-like herb in the backpack. Silver heartgrass. It can be cultivated into golden heartgrass, a good medicine for resurrecting the dead. Haven't heard of it, but keep it for now. Maybe it will be useful in the future. Another player died, or quietly, and that player also gave a warning before he died. For a moment, all the players who came with the player to gather food were terrified. Lin Chen smiled secretly. One of the tall players shouted loudly, "Shao Mouse of Odin City, if you have the ability, come out and fight with me. Don't hide in the corner and eat people." Lin Chen's face didn't matter. Lao Tzu likes to hide in the corner. How? You bite me? The tall player shouted twice. No one answered. It seems that there is no one, and those 2 people don't know how they died, so let's do it quickly. The tall player has a very ugly face. A few new players came to steal the food, and a few of them were really ruthless, and as soon as they came in, without saying a word, they rolled up their sleeves and began to move the food. The panicked players also immediately squatted down to carry food. However, this time, Lin Chen's brush was 3 times. After all, now her attacks can kill players in seconds, even if the opponent is meat. With all her physical strength to concentrate on developing defense, Lin Chen can also clean up the opponent. 3 players fell to the ground at once. But this outburst is really touching. The 3 players only provided Lin Chen with a little intelligence. There are also 2 players, one with a white outfit and the other with a copper coin grass. This copper coin grass can be used as medicine, and it was picked up by Lin Chen. The white equipment was far away from Lin Chen, and if you wanted to pick up that equipment, you had to go to the grass. Lin Chen still didn't move. 3 players died at once. The players who gathered the food were stunned. One of the players widened his eyes and was a little depressed. What's the situation? Could it be a monster? A normal creature? Don't tease me. There are no wild monsters near the granary. That's the boss. Boss, you grandma's legs. How can you have them? A group of players got into a fight on their own. The corners of Lin Chen's mouth hooked slightly. That's what I want. A few more players came later. But seeing this scene, I was also confused. And there are a lot of players who quarrel and even want to fight. It was very chaotic for a while. At this moment of chaos, Lin Chen suddenly made a move. 17 or 18 were poured like bamboo shoots at once. It provided Lin Chen with a total of 3 points of physical strength and 2 points of intelligence. The rest is all blown up with some mess. She didn't even look at it. She swept it all into her pocket. This time, but let all the players. Someone in the crowd yelled, "Hell!" Then a group of players scattered and fled. In the morning, when the group of players fled, they quickly struck. 50 players. None of them fled here. All dead and clean. This wave provided Lin Chen with a total of 10 points of strength, 12 points of physical strength, 8 points of intelligence, and 15 points of agility. It seems that the quality of this wave of players is good. If they are all players with poor attributes, Lin Chen will not be able to get so much. In order not to affect the game experience, she naturally turned off the system prompt. Otherwise, this wave of killing players will annoy her with just the system prompts. Of course, there is also some mess. Lin Chen took it all. Even if it's a piece of grass, don't let it go. The location of the delivery granary is called a quiet. For a while, there were no players. Lin Xin suddenly found that there was a dialogue box in the lower left corner, which was the chat box for the activity of siege warfare. Qinglong City is romantic. Report the opening of Odin City opposite. Odin City, Jiangnan. I'm afraid you didn't wake up. Qinglong City is romantic. I have a video. We were just in the granary and suddenly died. This must be your hanging. Odin City summer foam smoke and rain. Who are we all online to go to the wild? Only players with insufficient strength will go to the wild. Qinglong City, a small fish. We all recorded it just now, and many people died inexplicably, or they were killed with one hit. What are you hanging on? Odin City, Jiangnan. Is it okay to have a little cultural knowledge? Is this a game with a brain of wisdom, or a brain researched by 1,700 scientists? Open hanging. Are you kidding me? Qinglong City, two small fish. But I don't think it's open. I think Odin City is haunted. Odin City, bright moonflowers. You are haunted. Your whole family is haunted. Or something is wrong. The players present all had such a ridiculous idea. Then, someone stabbed the video to the game forum. Lin Xin lurked quietly for a while. No one dared to come here to deliver food. She looked helpless, so she could only manipulate the minions to blend into the middle route and walked forward slowly and stupidly with the other minions. At the second tower, there was a group of players from Qinglong City who had just crawled out of the grass. If you want me to say you're nervous and timid, the one at the head is obviously the person who dominates the industry, with the prefix of the trade union, called the Mighty Buddha. He is also an out-and-out fat man, with a fat body, and it seems that he should be practicing paladin. This guy has several mixed names behind him, only to hear the Mighty Buddha say, "Just a few of you still want to enter our Emperor Heaven hegemony. I think you can only go to the reserve team to squat." The people behind cautiously followed him, ignoring his taunt just now. For these little players, it is not a big deal to be able to get on the big ship of the Emperor's heavenly hegemony, even if they are ridiculed. The Mighty Buddha said for a while, and then said lightly to the people next to him, "Okay, you guys are squatting here today, and if a small soldier comes over, just kill the other party." Lin Xin was going to pass by the giant Buddha. As a result, I happened to hear the words of the giant Buddha. It seems that the gang is planning to intercept the minions and get the gold. When the time comes, you can exchange it for potions. Lin Xin had taken a look at the potion sold by the quartermaster before. Some potions are awesome. So, they watched as a crispy soldier with a short staff in his hand suddenly turned a corner and walked straight in their direction. The giant Buddha smiled and said, "See, sometimes there will be this kind of bug. When some monsters are stupidly walking towards you, what should we do?" A player named Butterfly Loveflower behind him said, "Of course, it's to kill the other party and get the gold." Yes, the giant Buddha was very satisfied, took out his spear, and poked it fiercely in Lin Chen's direction. However, the spear of the mighty Buddha had not yet touched Lin Chen. Lin Chen suddenly made a move. A small point of light emerged from Lin Chen's staff, and then slowly smashed in the direction of the mighty Buddha. The orbit of this point of light is very slow. At this moment, it was as if it was frozen. The spear of the mighty Buddha almost smashed on Lin Chen's body, but they were never able to move forward, because the body of the majestic Buddha turned into fragments, disappeared little by little, and finally became a point of light, air, and nothing. Click. The spear fell to the ground. Lin Chen didn't even look at it, and swept it directly into his backpack. Butterfly Loveflower and other players. Butterfly Loveflower and other players. Nima, are they dazzled? What's the situation? So the big one is gone? It's too fast. Is there such a thing? What the hell just happened? Is it a bug or a sea? But they soon knew what was going on, because Lin Chen unceremoniously sent a point of light towards them. And then, these players were also sent away by Lin Chen. This wave provided Lin Chen with 5 points of strength, 3 points of physical strength, and a blue equipment with a large spear, 4 or 5 pieces of white equipment, and a few gold coins. I guess there's nothing on my body to explode. Lin Chen accepted all of them without hesitation. The giant Buddha didn't come back to his senses until Lin Chen stepped on his face and left. Qinglong City Shengba Buddha. Coordinates 312.3333, Lao Tzu just saw a strange soldier here, and he stabbed me to death at once. Qinglong City, Shengba Buddha. That little soldier line is walking in the direction of the line. Everyone be careful. Qinglong City Giant Buddha. The boss must be careful. Qinglong City dominating the world. What are you panicking about? Are you mistaken? Let the defense tower be beaten. Qinglong City, Heroic Buddha. Boss, you know me. I have all the physical strength and defense. I am a piece of meat, and I can carry the defense tower 3 times. Odin City Jiangnan. Just you? Odin City, cold little hands. Your defense and blood volume are not as high as mine, and you are embarrassed to say that you are a meat? Is there such a shameful meat as you? Qinglong City Shengba Buddha. MMP, Lao Tzu is T2, you are T1, you are compared with Lao Tzu, do you want face? T2 generally refers to the second M. The second meat is naturally not as meaty as the first piece of meat. Moreover, the mighty Buddha is not a member of the first elite team of the Emperor Heaven Hegemony. With his current combat strength and equipment, he can only be regarded as a member of the third elite team at most. On the other hand, the little hands are cold, but Jiangnan has spent a lot of money to pile up equipment on the cold body of the little hands. What's more, this little hand is cold, and the initial attributes are all full value. Can this compare? There is simply no comparison. The majestic Buddha is really wronged. It's like a crying fat 20-pound man. It's annoying to dominate the world. It's just that the people under his command are disobedient. Is still talking nonsense in the siege chat box. The current Shengba world can't wait to find the Shengba Buddha and beat the other party. What are you talking about? Isn't it just dead? In siege warfare, isn't it normal to die a few times? As a result, the giant Buddha was unaware, squatting in the camp and continued. Qinglong City, majestic Buddha. I have already recorded the video just now. That little soldier is really powerful. Everyone must be careful. Qinglong City and Mo Shanghua will not return. Brother, you have changed your name, and you are called Shengba Timid. Lin Shen waved his hand, making them both stand up. This city lord's mansion is very large. There were 100 maids and 100 guards inside. There is also a housekeeper. The steward is responsible for the operation of the entire city lord's mansion. Lin Shen can be a hands-off shopkeeper. When you come back, you have a hot meal to eat and clean clothes to wear. The housekeeper took Lin Shen to the largest courtyard in the city lord's mansion. There are 32 little maids in the yard. When they saw Lin Shen, they all lowered their heads and replied respectfully, "Welcome back, the city lord." That battle startled Lin Shen. Lin Shen waved his hand, "Get up." Only then did those little maids stand up, but they all lowered their heads, not daring to look at Lin Shen's face. Lin Shen returned to the courtyard and opened the door. All of them were shocked. It's still a princess room. It's pink everywhere. Pink walls, pink beds, and even pink fluffy carpets. There's a pretty pink bow on the side of the bed. That's enough. Of course, there were several fluffy, pink bears on the bed, which were more than a man tall. The housekeeper said triumphantly beside Lin Shen, "These are all limited editions, and I bought them at a great price." Lin Shen glanced at the pink bear on the bed. Pink limited edition Earthshell Bear. Provides 100% blood regeneration to nearby units. Okay, there is actually a small attribute. Lin Shen looked around. Even if there is a stitch and a thread in the room, it has attributes. However, these properties do not include four-dimensional properties. Most of them are. Evasion is increased by 10%. Attack damage is increased by 5%. 50% increased blood return efficiency. Blue return efficiency increased by 100%, etc. As a bedroom, the reverter type has the most effect. It's not hard to see why. Logically speaking, this is normal. The bedroom is supposed to be a place of restoration. Let Lin Shen notice one thing, that is, this bedroom can also be rejuvenated. Vitality is something that goes hand in hand with life skills. What Lin Shen needs when making dishes is vitality. Each person has about 100 vitality. An hour to recover a little. But when Lin Shen came to this room, the recovery rate per hour became 3 points. It's pretty good. The room was nicely furnished. At least the attributes are passable. As for the appearance, Lin Shen has never cared. A smile appeared on the butler's face. If the city lord likes it, This is what we should do. City Lord, there is one more thing that you need to deal with. The prisoners of war and indemnity in Qinglong City have arrived, and it is in the front hall. Should we take a look? Lin Shen thought at first that the siege battle was only a personal reward, but he ignored the reward of the city. There is still a reparation? Is it so good? Lin Shen suddenly remembered the more arrogant Blue Dragon City Lord in the siege battle before. City Lord of Qinglong City. Are you embarrassed to say this? Who is arrogant? A smile appeared on Lin Shen's face. Is it the City Lord of Qinglong City who came in person? This is natural. The butler said triumphantly. After all, they lost. Yes, after all, they lost. What are you waiting for? Oh no, reception goes. Lin Shen jumped out of bed and walked in the direction of the front hall under the leadership of the old butler.